8 to 12 reps used to be considered the most effective muscle building rep range for decades. Then, after a lot of recent research coming out, people started saying how you can build muscle between any rep range of 4 to 35 reps or even more, which is why in today's video, I want to talk about how all that is actually pretty crappy advice. And instead, I want to share with you a smarter rep training strategy that not only adds variety into your training without any pointless fluff, but also allows you to keep progressing, to keep building muscle without any of those annoying, discouraging plateaus, even if you're over 30 or even over 40 like me, with a job, responsibilities, maybe a family, and somebody who still wants to train hard for 3 to 4 hours a week, but also wants to have some energy and some time after that for the rest of his life. Check it out. All right, so first I want to start with what most people are recommending nowadays, which is how any rep range between 4 and 35 or more can build muscle, and why this is horribly vague and unpractical advice, whether you're new at this or even if you're an intermediate, stuck at a plateau and, freaking annoyed trying to figure out how to keep making progress. For example, let's say you start doing a lot of high rep push-up sets, as a lot of people do who get into calisthenics. What happens is that you get out of breath way before you reach muscular failure. In other words, you miss out on those last reps that actually build the most muscle, since you hit cardiovascular failure before you hit muscular failure. Not to mention how training solely at such high rep ranges makes it hard to maintain good form due to how tiring it is to stay focused and push yourself hard across such a long set, which not only increases the risk of overuse injury, but more importantly, also makes it much more likely that you'll eventually get sick and tired of your workouts. This is why my first piece of advice is to narrow down your rep ranges between 4 and 20, since these are way easier to stay consistent with and make progress. And since I'm a huge proponent of bodyweight exercises, as they are the foundation of how we train here at Bodyweight Muscle, because of a lot of reasons, like how much time they save, how they can be practiced almost anywhere, how they build strength that carries over into real life, my recommendation is, once you can do more than 20 reps for push-ups or any bodyweight exercise, basically make sure you progress to harder variations that keep you below 20 reps to get the best results possible. By the way, you can find an endless ladder of progressions for all the muscle building bodyweight exercises in our free guide, Bodyweight First. Once again, link below. That said, 4 to 20 reps is still a pretty broad rep range, so let's dive deeper into how we can split these into 3 different categories of reps, which once you learn how to manipulate, you can build even more muscle in the long run. So although really high reps are not a good long-term strategy, especially if this is all you're doing for building muscle, I do recommend including that semi-high rep range of 12 to 20 reps into your training. Not only is this a great rep range for practicing good form, since you can practice a lot of reps at a safe intensity, but it is also a great way to develop more stamina and work capacity, all things that carry over into your more moderate and lower reps later on. So what you'll notice after a while of working on these more semi-high reps is that once you get back to more moderate reps, you'll not only feel more comfortable with your breathing, but more importantly, you'll have more tenacity, more grit, basically, when you're getting closer to those last reps till failure, which are the reps that build the most muscle. The reason moderate reps have been the gold standard for bodybuilders for so long is because they're in that sweet spot between low and high reps that allows you to do 2 things really well. Number 1, it allows you to train relatively safe, close to failure, while maintaining as good form as possible. At the same time, it's not that taxing to both your nervous system and your joints. And number two, it allows you to tap into that mind to muscle connection even more, meaning it allows you to connect better to the muscles that you're working on, if, of course, you know how to focus on that. Focusing on mind to muscle connection during these reps makes a difference. And this is something you need to practice, especially as a more beginner trainee. So for example, instead of just going up and down during a chest dip, you want to focus on controlling the movement in a way that allows you to focus on the chest contracting on the way up, getting a good squeeze at the top, feeling the stretch on the way down, and stopping before you start feeling it more on your shoulders. These are things I can dive deeper into more future videos, so let me know if that is a topic that interests you. And the only problem with this rep range is that for a lot of people, this is all they do, just because it's been so popular for building muscle for so long. But this way you are missing out on the bigger picture, which I'll go into more detail right after covering the benefits of low reps. Low reps are amazing for breaking strength plateaus. And although the focus here isn't on feeling the targeted muscle so much like in moderate reps, although you do want to brace really, really, really hard before initiating each rep to the point that your body basically feels like a single unit, the main focus is on overcoming resistance, right? Whether you're loaded with extra weight or you're focusing on a harder calisthenics progression, the sole focus should be on overcoming that really, really high intensity with every rep, so you can then start incorporating these higher intensities, more difficult progressions into more moderate reps, where you can then start to really maximize muscle growth. So lately I've been working on my one arm pull-up again. I used to do these a couple of years ago, but I let go of them, so I'm looking forward to accomplishing that milestone once again. But back to today's topic, and to summarize everything, low reps basically raise your strength ceiling. They allow you to lift heavier weight or work on more advanced progressions, which you can later on start incorporating in your more moderate reps, where you actually maximize muscle growth. Higher reps, on the other hand, build your grit, your stamina, your work capacity, which again transfers back into more moderate or even low reps. Thus, incorporating all of these is the key if you want to train intelligently and continue to get stronger and build muscle in the long run, which is how a natural trainee like me can get really, really good results without messing up his body. This way, instead of adding too much fluff to your program by changing exercises all the time, which ends up being highly ineffective for building muscle, especially for beginners and intermediates, you can now have a healthy variety by manipulating rep ranges while sticking to the most effective muscle building exercises, which I covered in the previous video, and I'll link below. Now, if you're wondering how does one incorporate all of these rep ranges in his training, there are different ways of doing this. For example, two of our favorite ways of doing this here at Bodyweight Muscle are: number one, alternating between one lower rep day and one more moderate or higher rep day for every muscle group on a weekly basis. A quick example here would be doing sets of 7 to 10 reps of weighted dips on Monday and doing sets of 15 to 20 reps of bodyweight dips on Thursday. Or you can also cycle 6 to 8 week periods where you focus on one of these rep ranges at a time. So let's say you want to get the one arm push-up. A quick example here would be focusing on sets of moderate reps
doing archer push-ups for 6 to 8 weeks. And then once you get really good at these, switching to one-arm push-ups or a progression that's pretty close to that for another 6 weeks, and alternating between these two until you can do one-arm push-ups with perfect form at moderate or even high reps.
By the way, if you want an endless ladder of calisthenic progressions, so you can hammer all those low, moderate, and high rep ranges, and you can train anywhere, whether you're traveling for work or you're on holidays, or if like me, you love training outside, especially as the weather gets better in the summer, then make sure you download Bodyweight first, our free program. Don't miss the next videos where we'll be talking about the best training splits for men over 30 and some other really important details that allow you to maximize muscle growth. Subscribe if you're new, and until next time, keep on training.